tight and bam. And you can see this is pretty much, that's pretty much it. So you can see we really just did not waste a lot of product at all. So with coffee, you want to really make sure that the acrylic follows the shape. Because remember, the tips that you put on, that's your guideline. So if you don't shake those nicely the first time, I mean, you're getting a sneak peek at what you're getting at. So if you can imagine, like, if you just decide, like, I'm gonna shake it later, I'll file it later, well, good luck. Because you already just laid the foundation. You put the acrylic on. So like, imagine if I was like, I'll make the coffin later with the square. It ain't gonna be no real coffin. It's not gonna look right. So, yeah. So you can see, this little bead, one of these, that's all the way we got from that, and you can see it's still nice and smooth. That's the goal you want to work to, which is really, it's just the key between your brush and everything. So these tips, it don't matter what tips that you use, this application is gonna apply to any type of tip that you use. So you don't even have to use curved tips. Like, yeah, granted, I might use a little more acrylic than, some people because of the tips I use, but all the basics still apply. So the cuticle area, of course, we're gonna put a bead, and it's gonna look a little scary because it's like, oh no, it's gonna fly, it's gonna be big, but it's not. We're gonna let it set for a second because then I don't have to have too many beads, and you can see whatever I don't want, I'm just gonna slide it right down because I don't be smart at that. And we're going to tuck everything in. So like, get out of the notion of like, put the acrylic on and right away just, that's not gonna, and the second thing about that is like, that's gonna take away your structure, And then you're gonna get frustrated, like, oh, why are my nails breaking, this and that. It's because you're taking away all the acrylic,
After the place get dry, so I just
Yeah, just guide it, that's all you're doing. You are just guiding this right into place. It's gonna fall into place, the tip is there. It can only go so many places. So, just guide it. Make sure there's no flooding. See over here, it's still, we're getting out of control. So we're gonna handle it. Because you still have a lot of wiggle room. Now, I will say, I know some people like to use, speed products and all that. If you are a beginner or if you're like shaking stuff, it's not getting what it's supposed to get, basically.
Sorry.
Look, don't be using all that speed stuff because I used some like speed acrylic one time on accident and I was like, what the hell? Like, oh, am I supposed to say that? I was like, because when I take those beads, the way they just freeze up, you have no time. I'm like, I don't know who's using that. It don't even make sense to me having that because I tried it. Let me tell you, the way I would have to do a 10-finger encapsulation and me and her was in nature, like, girl, it was a lot of fun. So I don't recommend that, like speed stuff. I just don't understand. On average, any set that I do, no matter the length, like longest length, is gonna not take me no more than 3 hours. So, and that's like, I'm doing like double tips, French tip, like all that type of stuff. A medium set, let's say if I'm doing like a French or an ombre, that one will take no more than maybe like 2 hours, if that. And that's like from the time they walk into the door, we're doing our talk, that's the whole entire point. Okay, so the application itself for whatever you do, complex design, I would say try to keep it at maybe like 15 minutes per hand, so 30 minutes together for application. And if it's a simple design, like basic, I'll say try and keep it like at 10 minutes per hand, depending on the length, of course. But like, once you start using larger beads and stuff, it's gonna work to your advantage. Ooh, please. Every day I knock something over. I always tell people like, you're not a real client if you ain't never seen me and you helping me and stuff. So yeah, actually, fun fact, this is my 4th dapping dish in, I want to say maybe like 3 months, because of that. But yeah, damn, so we gotta put that. So basically, when it comes to flush flush cuticles, you need to look very, very close because it can be tricky. Like this one, I don't know why it's not probably gonna talk so much. But you want it to look like it's growing, You don't want it to look like a hump that's just yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically, right? So it's tricky, like get how much acrylic to remove when it comes to flake, because you want it to be tucked into that cuticle area, but not so much that it's like just sitting right on top. So we're gonna go with that for now. Okay, bam. So now we got a square and we have a coffin. So you see there's like a difference. That's why I say, if somebody were to ask me, I want a skinny square or I want this type of coffin or that type of coffin, I cannot guarantee, like, I don't know what to talk about. Like, because honestly, it's gonna depend on you. So I would say, don't give your clients the option to be choosing all the time. When people say, I want a skinny square, I want a coffin, I'm just gonna give you a coffin. They're not gonna know the difference. If I start confirming, this is my taper square, this is my this, oh, you just open up a can of worms. Because now, they're gonna be like, oh, no, that's why I leave it to the basics. I educate my clients on Instagram. I always tell them, I show them posts like, look, this person said this is a skinny square, but it looked like a coffin. And this person said that's they coffin, but it looked like a square. It's so backwards. So that's what I think. Don't even worry about all the terms. The clients, they don't know. I don't know. They think they know.
They think they know the one that they like.
Yeah, they work off of visual representation. So visually, if they see your page and they look at you, then you are what they want visually. If they bring you an inspo pic and they're like, oh, I want a shape like this, just okay, girl, yeah. Ignore that and just give them the shape that you need. That's what I do. And they don't complain. So. Okay, now let's say she comes in, okay, I want stiletto. Got you. So look. Now stiletto, okay, it's gotta be a sharp, gotta be right tight, okay? I'm not gonna brag, but I gave somebody who was so stiletto. She cracked her toe. Yeah, she told me. I'm just saying.
You get what you got?
Yeah, that's what you asked for. I'm not gonna say she did not. But so basically stiletto, we're gonna start it out as like how we do coffin, right? So we're gonna get rid of the corners first. Like I said, this will work no matter what tips you use. I just say get away from using pre-shaped tips because they're gonna be stuck with what they get. They're only gonna be able to go skinnier. So imagine if somebody with like larger nail beds, it come already that skinny. It's not gonna do. It'll look like an elf, like a top hat, like Santa Claus. It's not, right? So we're gonna start. Okay, we're gonna completely. Okay, you show them. You get rid of the corners. That's the first thing, right? Stiletto and coffin. We like to get rid of those corners. All right. And then once we get rid of the corners, we are going to take all of the corners. We're going to start tapering it in, starting from up here. Whereas coffin, it was more down here. No, we're going to taper all the way up. Okay? We're going to taper it all the way up. So we have it following her natural nail walls. So now we have something that almost looks like an almond. Now this is the part where I'm going to show y'all, right? We're going to get real stiletto real quick. So again, what we're going to do, you're going to take that file. Vertical, I'm telling you, people sleep on the fact that filing vertically, it allows you to see and it allows you to have head control. This is where this comes in. Keep that right on the tip, and it's going to sharpen itself. Right? So we're going to be careful because by doing that, we do need to go back and forth because otherwise you're going to completely like obliterate the tip, basically. And I also do tell people, when they're like, oh, I want this length for this stiletto, I tell them, go a little longer because as you can see, you're taking away length. People don't take that into consideration. Stiletto is like the only shape where the sharper you get it, the shorter it gets. So I always tell them like, okay, if they came in like, oh, I want a stiletto like this, we're going to cut it longer. Basically. So I was telling them, bam. Okay, so right here, I could make it like, oh, make it longer. I wait to do all that later because the thing is, if we do it now, it's going to like, where the tip is connected, it's going to start carving out pieces. We don't want to do that. So this is good for now. We have a nice pointed shape. It follows her, all her nail balls and stuff like that. Now application, right? Application is a little tricky and I should switch my, well, that's okay. She's still so we're just gonna turn it. Like, we're gonna use some setup. So, okay, we're gonna do that again. Yeah, 2 times. Exactly. That's what it's gonna do. Now, normally, I'm not a person that goes nail by nail. If you're a nail by nail person, I'm gonna tell you, it don't make a difference. If you lay clear before the color, I'm gonna tell you, it don't make a difference. I used to like think like, oh, so cool. It does not help with adhesion, putting clear down. All it does is you're doing 45 full sets. little stiletto thing. But I use a little bit of a smaller bead because we don't have the same width. We don't have the same surface area. So we're gonna use a smaller bead. I'm gonna put it in the same area. Now with stiletto, instead of like patting it down right away, we're gonna go in and basically do a middle pat, and then we're going to do the sides, bam. See? And we're gonna blend that up. Now, application for stilettos, I'm not gonna lie, it be looking kind of weird. It be looking kind of like a carrot and stuff. But just know, the end result is gonna be fine. Yeah. Does anybody have like a favorite shape? What's y'all favorite?
Stiletto.
Okay, stiletto.
Mm-hmm.
Almond, okay. Coffin.
So is an almond just a stiletto, just like not as pointy?
Not as pointy and not as tapered.
Okay.
Almond is definitely a little bit, got a little more substance to it. But, what was you gonna say?
I think the almonds are really pretty, and I wish I could get them, but my nail beds are so like fat.
Well, you can, but almond looks best on shorter lengths.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Longer lengths, I don't care who does it. Almond is ugly on the long length.
Yeah.
It looked like a bag of rocks. I don't know why people are not discussing this.
It does. It looks
It
weird.
does. It looks like. So with the application for stiletto, you're gonna keep having to like fix this because it's gonna go crooked side to side. And honestly, at a certain point, like right here, that's the point where I'm like, okay, look, it's fine. You know, because it's like it still needs to dry. I'm not about to keep going back and forth. So we're just gonna leave it at that, okay? And that's just what it's gonna look like for now. And then we are gonna go in the pupil area. Alright. And make sure it's nice and flush. Now, fun fact, stiletto uses way less acrylic than square or coffin, just for the fact that it is so slim, but there is a fine line. Okay, because if you don't use enough, the tips will break off. If you use too much, it's gonna look very chunky, and it's a fine line. That's why I say stiletto is the hardest shape. I mean, some people say almond, but almond, these guys really don't know what an almond is like. But they do know a stiletto's supposed to be pointy. So, at the very least. Okay. So we're just gonna go ahead and do it like that, just like before. All right. And clean it up. And we're gonna go ahead and call it then. So, you know, don't be alarmed if it's a stiletto, it's funny, it's fine. Mine's too. It's fine. So thank you.
Mine is good.
Okay, and you know, take care of your brush. You know, take time. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and get into shape and all that. So another thing that changed the game for me, I used to say, oh, let me get the shape together first. I promise you, do pupils first. Because you're gonna debulk everything that needs to debulk, and then when you go and file, you're gonna be filing way less product. So, I need to remember. See, does this even make it? I guess it does.
You don't even.
Thank you. Okay, so look, realistically, I use a speed down here. What we recommended people is to be using this. Oh my. I'm gonna shut block. Listen how this sounds when it's gonna take away a lot. It's already smooth. I don't wanna take away a lot.
You can feel. Oh yeah, I've definitely had
Yeah.
I like filed too thin, and
Exactly.
I was in pain for
Exactly.
like 2 weeks.
Because the thing is, because we toughed our cuticles, because we did all the groundwork with application, you don't need to file a lot, right? So this is how I like to do. So I go in, and I twist people So don't scared. Look, she's not hurt. You okay?
I always scared.
Yeah.
She's okay. It's okay. They'll tell you. Yeah, they'll tell you. So I go ahead and debulk the sidewall. I like to look, everybody apex is different based on the look they like, so they'll take care of that. But I don't know, I always hold it like this, But we're gonna make sure, you see how we can see both sides of her fingers? Yes. If it's so thick that it's starting to impede on her skin, too thick. Okay, so that's why I said in the slideshow, we need to make sure that's all taken care of, okay?
What speed is that, 3?
Oh.
Speed right now,
I don't know. Honestly, this is pretty, look, on.
Oh.
Yeah, honestly, whatever is almost the lower key, but you see how the barrel spins? If the barrel wasn't making full rotations, that's too slow. Okay? So, and then me personally, because I'm a curve girl, we just go ahead and, clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up.
I don't know.
I guess I don't really need to worry about that, but okay. And I personally, you can't really see curve tips, it's railer, but I like it. Look. This right here, this is where you get some of that crispness. Because you go underneath, right? Nobody likes a thick tip at all. So when we go underneath, and do this, if you use C-curve tips, the C-curve is going to be there for you, but I promise this is going to enhance it. And if you don't, it's okay, because it's not going to give you a true C-curve look or anything like that. But it is going to crisp out a lot. So you can see, in nail school they always say oh, make sure the tip is the thickness of a business card. That's way too thick. But you definitely want it to be, not too big. So if you guys can see that, right? And if you touch it, it's gonna be already on the underneath. It's gonna be crisp. Underneath when you feel it, bam. So after we do that, right? That's all what I need to about. That's it. That's all I use it for. That's it.
Where did you get this?
I got it by local nail supply. Like I say, I ain't gonna do all your body. I'm gonna let you know I like it. So, you can call me later.
I'm here.
I hope you know nothing right now, y'all. But I was using a different one. Didn't like it. It wore out. I go through eat. I was like, you know what? Cheap. I've been trying to buy $60 real, which is good. You learn how to use them. You learn what to do and what not to. But at a certain point, I can't keep stressing myself out. I go through these no, I didn't. I work way too much and way too long to be going through these. Okay, that's all I use it for. I do not use the e-file to smooth out the rest of the nail, because originally I was a hand filer. Because I didn't have no money to buy, so when my $20 was when I was in school, I was hand filing everything, cuticles, everything. So until I got carpal tunnel.
I started at 97.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I started in '96, so
Yes.
that's all I know
Yes.
about it.
So that's why I really only use it for the cuticle areas, because it makes it easier. Now go ahead and look. We're gonna do the shape, right? Look, it's already there. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it. See how I'm getting it up here though? You cannot neglect this up here. You can't neglect it, because that's really what's gonna give you that true look. Now everybody's stuff is gonna vary, because everybody got their own style. They got their own. But pull that skin back. She's not gonna be hurt. But do you want to come? No, we don't want to come back. And if you do, it's okay. Spray this alcohol. Spray, pull some pressure, throw it out, and wash your hands. It's okay. Most of the time, they're not gonna feel it, right? So it happens. And then vertical to the tip, because this is gonna make sure not only is it exactly aligned with the shape of the tip, but I don't know, it's just something different. Doing this, because you're going back and forth, if you start getting crooked and crazy, it's gonna be crooked. But this, you can control that more, right? So you see, okay, that's already what we have for shape. And I took up to nothing. Yeah, thank you. Right? So that's what I do. So then what I do, because it is still a little bit, it's not perfected yet. I want to make sure that I can, do what I need to do.